Hello, hello, hello. It is Feature Friday. I am so excited today because I get to talk to one of my badass peeps. He's amazing in so many different arenas. He does film, he does podcasting, he does his own video, he's post-production, he's an author, he's a coach. He's everything. Okay, so I am really excited to talk to you today, Niel. In case you can't tell, Debbie is bouncing off the walls more than usual today. I know it's hard to believe, right? I actually had my level went higher. So I'm really excited to talk to you today. I understand you have some really amazing announcements. Just a quick, for those who are joining in, please feel free to say hello. Let us know you're here and drop any questions you might have in for Niel as we're going through the broadcast. You don't have to wait for us to ask for questions. Drop them in anytime. So Niel,
Awesome.
Without further ado, my friend, I'm tossing it to you. Tell us what you have going on right now. Tell us all about what makes you awesome.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I watch these each Friday, and I'm just happy to actually be on the cool kid list. I get to be here. Oh my goodness. So thank you, Debbie, for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to it all week because throughout the week we've been building on some really great things, and so I have a lot of really great announcements. But as far as your audience, just kind of knowing who I am and why they're here is I'm actually the owner of Wildstyle Media here in Tampa, Florida. I moved here about 4 years ago. Used to be the producer for the mayor of Orlando, and had a really amazing time here in Tampa growing a business. And it's really expanded from video production only because of my podcast. So about a year or so after I moved here, I launched a podcast, and that was brand new. And I went to Podcast Movement. 11 days after launching, I knew nothing. And all of a sudden, my podcast really took off as a way to reach new people for my business because I was a service-based business. And so I needed to get new customers every day. Well, what the podcast allowed me to do was actually kind of become an expert in my field per se and reach people. And it wasn't about the service anymore. It was about Niel and what Niel knows and what he can offer people. And that has grown into, great opportunities, speaking opportunities. And now 3 years into my podcast, been really blessed to coach a number of really awesome podcasters that have gone on to do better than me. I have one that's out doing all of my numbers pre-launch. She hasn't even launched yet. Wow. And literally her Facebook numbers are about to surpass mine after 3 years. What does that say? So super excited, just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to talk to your audience. It's about all things video, podcasting, and business and coaching, because I know you do coaching as well. Yeah. So we're just here to inspire some people. So thank you for having me.
Woo, woo. Thank you so much for being here. When Niel signed up, guys, I was so excited because one of the things that I really like to do is get people from all different spaces. And we had so many weeks where we had females on here. And I thought, I know men have amazing things to say. And Niel, when you and I met, it was actually at the premiere of The Messengers, a podcast documentary. That was an amazing night for me. What can you tell us about the journey of The Messengers right now? How did it start? And you're a podcaster in all things post, so I would love to hear the transition that you took. I'm sure there were some leaps of faith, right?
Oh, big ones. Yeah. First of all Things Post is about to, on August 1, will be 3 years old and super excited. I am guilty of some inconsistencies that I give bow to all my clients about being super consistent because of the movie. The movie actually took 10 months of my life intensely, in the sense that we were traveling around the globe to Guatemala, Puerto Rico, and all over the U.S. to interview podcasters and to get their stories. And obviously in those 10 months, it was very challenging to keep my podcast on a steady schedule. So my podcast is about the behind the scenes of post-production and the editing and the creation of everything, not just TV and film, but music, graphic design, anything. If you're a behind the scenes person, you are creating content of some sort, then you'll like All Things Post. We are not a techie show. We don't talk about, hitting F3 to make a parallelogram or anything like that. We're more about the mindset behind the people who are the editor of Empire or Supergirl, and how did they get there, and how do you stay competitive, and what do they do to stay on top, right? So that's my podcast. Because of the podcast, it grew, and my relationship with Chris Krimitsos of the Tampa Bay Business Owners grew. And when he started doing PodFest, which I think now is about the second biggest podcast conference in the country, only to Podcast Movement, we were together at PodFest. I forget the year. I want to say it was 2016. He always gets mad at me. 2016, Niel, in the details. And he literally sat down next to me on a break, and he said, Niel, these people all these speakers have these amazing stories. Do you think we have a movie here. Now, Chris has always wanted to do film. He used to produce television, The Bleeping Truth, a couple of years back. A lot of people only put him in the business box and didn't know he had that talent. So I wasn't shocked at all when he was asking me. I just couldn't believe he was serious. And I said, yeah, we have a movie if we had a budget, if we had money. And he literally said, I can seed some of it if you're willing to start. And literally we were started. And that day of Podfest, he had hired a crew to just do some interviews and stuff. And those became the main interviews of the film. And so we just spent the remaining months. Now we had their story, going to their homes all over the country and in other countries to shoot their real life behind the scenes, which is how we had all that B-roll. So the film since then has been completed. I finished editing it and we have been waiting. And the big announcement is we've been waiting for approval from a distributor to go on iTunes and Amazon, which would put us out to the world, not just locally. And we've screened it in a couple of different cities, most recently in CBS Radio New York. And I just got the green light that iTunes and Apple have approved our quality control that we passed. And it's only a matter of time. And this movie's about to hit the planet and everybody can get it on Amazon. And our goal, my personal dream, is that it would reach Netflix, because then it would be translated into hundreds of languages and the whole of Earth could see it. But, we lost my father-in-law during the making of this movie. It was probably one of the most pivotal moments. And so for me to sit here and be able to tell you just a few months after his passing that it's about to go global. And, he wasn't here to see it, but now the world's going to see it. It just it swells with pride. So that's the big announcement. We passed Apple, and it's just a matter of weeks before you guys can actually buy it, pre-order it on iTunes and Amazon.
I seriously feel like I should have known this ahead of time from you, and I could have had like the streamers and the big celebratory thing. Like, I feel like I need firecrackers and I need glow sticks and I need all these things right now. Well, see, the thing is, I remember when you did the premiere, and I'm also a member of the Florida Podcasters Association with you and Chris, and an amazing group of people, by the way. It was one of the best things I ever did was showing up and meeting you guys and joining.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. But so, but I've seen the journey and I've heard a lot of the things. I remember when you guys went to a major network, and I remember Chris talking about this being one of the dreams for the movie. Yeah. And also remember you guys talking about, well, we've got a couple more checks and a couple of these. And it does seem like forever. Reminds me of my Navy days. Just hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, right? And so I'm celebrating big time with you. Guys, this is huge, huge news. So if you are excited about the podcasters coming to basically going international at this point, you can just let us know with love and hearts and hands up, and also feel free to reach out to Niel privately and say congratulations. And so, you have so many things going on, Niel. One of the things I like to do on here is support the people who are trailblazing leaders and come on Feature Friday by basically funneling people into what's most important to you right now. So you have a lot of great things going on. Of course, I recommend people join your group, All Things Post, here on Facebook. And of course, listen to your podcast, love it, review it, 5-star it, tell everybody how amazing it is and share it.
Thank you.
But now I'm going to ask you, because it's not about my agenda, right? It's about yours. What would you love people to do because we know that most people will take one action. And so if our viewers and even people who are listening in could do one thing to really support you or find out more about you or work with you in some capacity, what would be one place that you would lead them?
Yeah, my biggest thing is to engage with me personally. I mean, yes, I do a lot of things, but if you can, reach out to me on Twitter and, follow me at Niel Guilarte and reach out to me there. And what I'm trying to do right now is just really try to engage more one-on-one with people. Obviously, the biggest thing that helps me is hire my video production company when you need media. That's the business I started. That's my genesis, right? But it's really morphed now through being the director and of this movie and being able to sort of take podcasting to another level. Over the past few months, I've really focused more on personal coaching, zero to launch podcast coaching, or just sort of getting people through a stopping point in their life. So that's the biggest thing, is reach out to me, probably through Twitter. I live there. I'm on Periscope, and I'm on all these other places. My Facebook group's a great place to interact with professionals in my industry. But for me directly, the best place is go on Twitter, at Niel Guilarte. Reach out to me, and I will reach through Twitter, grab you by the jugular, and suck you into my world, and get things moving, because that's kind of what I'm really trying to do now, is just motivate people through my other mediums to have breakthroughs in their personal lives, whatever they're working on.
But you have to be ready, right, Neil? I mean, this is great, but one of the things that we do notice is people want to do it, and then there's an overwhelm with technology. And even when you have a coach, sometimes you think you have to know everything jumping into it, which does remind me of my 10-year-old daughter, who thinks she has to know everything at 10 years old. But it doesn't have to be that way. And that's why there are coaches like Neil who will take you step by step. It's zero to launch. It's called that for a reason, I'm sure.
Yes,
what is your one favorite thing to do with clients when you're working with them? What's the favorite part for you?
Wow, we just had it yesterday. You just literally described my current client, Polly Bauer. She came from 45 years in the credit industry, CEO of Home Shopping Network. Okay. She's been a leader in every aspect of her life. And she entered podcasting not knowing a thing. And the first thing she did was reach out to me and say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not tech savvy. I know credit. And, but what an amazing force she is. And like you said, having to be ready, she had to be ready. And why she's eclipsing every former client I've ever had and about to eclipse my own personal numbers pre-launch is because she's a doer. Like you said, she wasn't just ready. Debbie, I asked her for a name for her show to give me 10. She gave me 63 from herself and the remaining to get to 100 from her team. Okay. I asked her to get 100 people on her Facebook group by reaching out personally. She ended up getting 200 and something yesterday, woke up this morning to 400 plus. I asked her to do a little Twitter, like everything I asked her to do, it's like 50 times over. Why?
Wow.
She's ready. She wants this so bad. She's doing every step so enthusiastically. And a lot of people have a coach just because they want to say they're coached. And I really believe that whether you're a beginner podcaster or whether you're a seasoned business pro like Polly. So anyway, to get to your point, my favorite thing, Neil, where are you going with this, is yesterday we got approved for iTunes. She's officially a podcaster. We completed the process. Now she launches July 4th. And my favorite moment was watching her tear up and recall the first meeting we had at a Panera or a Starbucks where she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just know what I know, and I'm afraid of the million steps you just said I have to take. And yesterday, she did them all. She got accepted. She's a podcaster. We launched July 4th to the biggest launch I've ever coached, and that's my favorite part, because now she goes, and I'm like a proud papa. I don't know where my shirt went. It disappeared. She made me a shirt, but it's that proud moment, as you know, as a coach, where they do what you got them through the barriers. And then they're free. You're no longer, yes, you're still their coach, but they're moving. And I was so proud of her yesterday. When she woke up this morning and said, Neil, I have over doubled the number of yesterday, my heart melts, because that's what you want for your clients. And it's not about me. It's about her and her victory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And her podcast is called Swipe, which, by the way, you guys both rock those shirts. I saw the picture.
Thanks.
You guys were rocking the shirts. And we should have Polly on here too, because what an amazing journey she's been on to go from totally non-technical and having a team of people to really take care of everything to now going where you're taking the leap. You know, it's not easy for a lot of people to jump into a whole new arena, but that's part of being a trailblazing leader. So I'm glad that Polly's in here now. And welcome to all of our new leaders who came in to hang out with us today.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
And Polly, you're next on this seat, okay? She truly is an amazing force in her industry, and I can't wait to see how people will benefit about mastering their credit through the amount that she knows. Every time she leaves here after recording, my head's like,
It's so funny, Neil, because we're here promoting you, and you are such a proud dad.
Sorry.
You really are. No, I love it. But I think that actually leads me into my next question, which is a great question, if I say so myself, which is when you are such a high caliber coach and you care a lot about what you do, you're drawing that same quality of person to work with you. So I can say right here, I'm not at all surprised. Not at all. From the movie to your podcasting to what you do in helping people, I've heard amazing things across the board. I've seen you in action doing wonderful things. So
thank you.
I just want to give you a moment and tell you how amazing you are.
Thank you so much.
So here's a question. We have a lot of people in the community who want to podcast, or they know they need to podcast, and maybe they're a lot scared to do it. What type of person should come to you to work with you?
Oh, great question. And thank you for the kind words. Reality is this, guys. You could podcast all by yourself. Okay. You can get a microphone. You can get your laptop. You could record your show. You could upload it to your own site and don't even go on to iTunes or anything. And you technically are a podcaster. Okay. The kind of person that I'm trying to attract, though, is a person that doesn't just want to be one of 1 million podcasters in the podcast realm, right? I want the person like a Paulie that says, I realize I'm new. I want a podcast, but I want to be the best at it. I want to be a leader in the category of whatever that podcast is about. And I don't just want to be lost in the sea of iTunes. I really want to be a force that down the road is on this show inspiring people, or I want to be in the next film, whatever it is, they want to impact people. So what I've done, and strictly, Debbie, by learning, falling, and tripping, okay? I launched by myself, no money, no plan, no nothing. And over 3 years, and also through FPA, making a movie about it, talking to podcasters, I think I've just amassed so much info and trend and all this that I think I can help them skip 40 steps that stopped me and slowed me down. So the person that I want is a doer, that when I say, this is going to feel wrong, but I have this little strategy, paint your, like Paulie says, dye your hair blue, and trust me as your coach, and that you're not going to go ask your other 10 friends that you rely on, but you're going to actually trust my path that I've walked. And I want a doer that's going to do the work. And then that way, even if the outcome isn't what we exactly planned, that they're ready for that next step. Because when I'm gone, and you know this as a coach, when you step aside or your time is up, if they don't continue with you on retainer or whatever, they're on their own. It is literally like raising kids. And so I just want a person that's a little bit of an overachiever, but at the same time has a heart for people, wants to impact the podcast community in a big way. I don't want little way. You can do that by yourself. And I can recommend you to other people that are cool with 50%ers. I do this casually. I'm looking for the guy that wants to go, all in podcasting. It's not a hobby. And everybody knows that does it. It's hard work.
Mm-hmm. So, actually, Niel, you made me think of something just now. Months ago, I did just that. And I jumped into the arena with some friends of mine from Badassery Magazine. And we're a 3-host badassery podcast team. And we actually have a friend who had an opportunity to ask Gary Vee a question. There was a big Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk thing in Atlanta yesterday. And she actually asked him to be on our podcast, and he said yes. So that's pretty big news on our side today. But I think it's important to look at everybody starts somewhere. We started interviewing people in our community who are amazing people, of course. But the whole goal is to continue to push that bar, raise it higher, stretch further into fear and do things like that. What would you say in your career, of all the amazing things that you've done so far, would be one thing that you took a leap on, maybe a huge leap of faith? It was scary. You weren't sure if it was the right thing, but you just knew you had to do it. What was that in your particular situation?
100%. That would be leaving my cush job at the mayor's office, moving to Tampa, and podcasting, because I knew how to do video. Podcasting, I felt like a fish out of water. I'd always kind of wished I could be on morning radio, or had those little dreams that people have when we wish everything but our cubicle. Yeah. And I made that jump. My wife said, well, I got a job in Tampa, and I can remember the fear, because everything you want's on the other side of fear. And I remember saying, if we move, are you okay if I don't work? And if I create a business that I've had on the side forever, and I become a podcaster? And she was like, a what? What is a podcast? And you know, podcasting, of all of the things that I've done and that all of the successes I've been blessed to have, podcasting has opened up the most doors for me to become a better speaker, to go speak on cruises, at podcasting events, to become a more seasoned pro and expert in my field, to now coach other people. I was able to shoot, edit, and direct a movie about podcasting for podcasters only because I met Chris through podcasting. So
Right.
it's 100% the oddest, and never would have planned that medium that I never even heard of would literally change my life and put me in a position that I am sitting on your show, even though we could be talking, and you notice we're not talking about video production and how I can assist you to make a better commercial. You know, we do that. That's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
My joy has come mostly from not only doing the movie, which is all about telling people, don't be a podcaster, just find your voice. Go be a content creator, be a YouTuber, be a periscoper, or be a podcaster. But just your voice matters. Go get your message. To be able to parlay that into coaching, helping people like Polly and others find their voice, create a brand, get out there, and now impact people. The minute she gets that first email that says, your podcast changed my life, even though you only have 6 listeners, that's what the risk I took. And man, let me tell you, days like yesterday, like when you see them, like I said, you see them realize they are now live to the world.
Oh yeah.
It's like, it really warms my heart. And you said earlier, oh, we're supposed to be talking about you. You know, I was on another podcast, Harry Duran, Podcast Junkies, and one of the best interviews I think I've ever done because of him, not me. And it was, I just felt like he got out of me what others can't. Like, he asked all the right questions. But what I took most from his interview was hearing him tell me, dude, we still haven't talked about you. And it's because I really do what I do for everybody else. My podcast group, if you go to All Things Post, they'll tell you I'm all about them. And I barely posted that I was on here today, and I was humble about it. But
well, I almost did that. In fact, you have Screen Grab Friday in your group, and it's still Friday, and there may or may not be a Be Live Screen Grab appearing today over there. So I've been waiting very impatiently over here to do this Screen Grab because I love your group, and I often feel, because there's a lot of really high tech post-production experts in there, and I go in there with my Audacity screen, or I do a lot of video. And it's funny because live video is a lot of what I do, and I do some posts, but so I'm always going in there like, well, today I did a live stream on this, here's my Screen Grab Friday, yay. So today I'm really excited to post it in there with you.
I love it because you're the person I want in there. See, they're already pros, and they're already going to be amazing. And when someone like you are not a little mouse. You actually just feel like one because you're walking into this room full of high-end pros.
I've been called Mighty Mouse, you know.
They love it. They love seeing it because you're like the girl power in there, right? You walk in and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm here.
That's right. I'm like, here's my video. Hello.
But I love it. You're who I want. You're who I want in there because they're going to already be in there. They're amazing. And I love that group. That group is my heart. But I love seeing you or my buddy Jason, and he posts, hey, guys, this is just my website. You know what? No, I want more of you. You're going to become Lee Riley. You're going to become Ralph Lugo. It's just a matter of time for you guys. But I love seeing you there. Please don't leave.
I literally, you're kind of stuck with me. So Raphael, I just want to say hello. Raphael joined us.
Ralph, what's up, buddy?
So Marisol had a question. She was actually asking about how to do Be Live and did I have special software? No, the Be Live is you go to BeLive.tv and you sign up. It's very easy. Awesome. Today, we're having amazing, okay, I'm just going to knock on wood and like look up to God and the stars and stuff, but we're having amazing technology today. For the past several weeks, it's been a little bit challenging, but you know, the Be Live guy, I think they heard me say, I don't know, Be Live, you and I might have to break up. They weren't ready for the breakup. So they're doing better, you know, even if it's short term. So anyway, I wanted to really thank you for being on here, Niel. You are an amazing person in your community. So a lot of people don't talk too much about volunteering and giving back to the community, and you're such a huge-hearted person. You do that and bring that into all of your professional stuff. Do you do anything from a volunteer perspective? Is there a special cause that's close to your heart?
Yeah, actually, Thank you for asking that, by the way. No one's ever asked me that. For a long time, when I lived in Orlando, I used to be on the board of the Grows Literacy Council for Hispanic kids coming from other countries that are, learning English and helping them. They were a very small organization, and I learned there the whole art of raising funds for people and how to get attention to a very small cause. And then after that, as things grew, the Central Florida Dreamplex is sort of my heart. They are sort of a workout slash gym slash future school for kids that have all kinds of physical disabilities. But what it's designed to do is that if you're an able-bodied brother or sister, you can go there and work out, play, and interact with your family or others, and it makes everybody feel included. But there's all of the special needs there for them. Okay, so every year I do their video for them, and they raise all of their yearly funds from that one video. So the impact of that video is what they will have all year for operations. So I try every year. We make them an amazing video. We interview the kids and their parents, and they've just grown. And I think recently they actually were offered land in Claremont, Florida to build a monster location. So super honored to do that. And Grows is no longer open, but my heart is still very much for anyone that's helping children in any way. And if they need my support and they're listening today, I am all about that.
Well, kids are my weakness too. If you want, once we jump off here, you can drop the link or you can share the link to the video that you did, because we all like to see the work of Trailblazing Leaders. So we'd love to see that. Niel, is there anything that we haven't talked about that is near and dear to your heart today as far as projects you're working on? What do you have? And I wanted to ask you quickly also what you have, because overachievers like yourself, if I do put you in that category, because I just did, overachievers like yourself, and I mean that in the best way, by the way. Thanks a lot,
Holly.
Some people can't sit still, though, and I know that you're one of those people. Yeah. And so what do you do next? Like, how do you go to the next step? What's the next step for you? I know that you're still working to get the video internationally and on Netflix. So what do you have next? Projects in the pipeline?
Yeah. Super excited about a lot of things. And before I get to me again, I just want to tell your listeners that one of the things you need to always have is what's next. And let me tell you, I didn't tell you this announcement because it just happened and I kind of got lost in everything else. But the movie is still very much a primary because it took a year to make. It's been a year in promotion. Now it's going to go live to the world. So now it'll be screenings, promotions, and getting it out to the world. But we just got told yesterday that we will be screened at Podcast Movement 2017 in Anaheim. So if you're going to Podcast Movement the day before it starts on that Tuesday, that evening before the conference, they will be screening the messengers, and we're all trying to go out there now because we didn't know it was going to screen. We're all going to try to go out to California. I grew up there in Anaheim and Cypress area, so it's kind of like going home and being able to screen my first full-length feature doc to my friends and family where I grew up, where the dream began, basically, as a child. So that's one thing. The second thing is, while I was shooting the messengers, a doctor saw me flying my drone in some social media images and offered me a chance to go to Haiti to record a documentary about how bad things are in Haiti medically, and that she wanted to open up a clinic to help mothers that were giving birth, et cetera, and passing away on the roadside, and the baby would be born and have to go to an orphanage, okay? So I'm currently editing that. Just started that. We shot that last September, but because of the messengers, we're just now getting to that. So Ralph Lugo, who I think is still here, he is the guy who did all the audio on the messengers, and he just helped me finish that. And lastly, what's next is I've been shooting quietly. I haven't announced much of this. I kind of have to be really careful. But I'm working with a producer out of Los Angeles and Texas that is shooting a documentary called Beyond the Game. And it's about all major league stars of different games that have left the game due to injury or retirement. And that could become probably the biggest project I ever get, because we went from being a B shooting crew, and recently they asked me if I'd have any interest in possibly editing this, and this is being fully financed and fully releasable to the world by pretty big athletes. I can't say their names. So if that happens, I might have to come on here just to squeal and then log off.
You're always welcome to come on here and squeal, by the way. Well, part of being in this community is that we're highly supportive of one another, and it's a place to celebrate. I know a lot of online entrepreneurs and just people who come onto the space are a little nervous about celebrating And, you know, we are in a totally vulnerable online space most days. And so I can understand the concern there. But this is definitely a place that we want to celebrate everyone in here. We want to definitely know what is going on and how we can support you. I remember when I went to the screening, and we're getting a thunderstorm here. I don't know if it's storming where you are, but it's storming right here. I might have to keep turning my mic off just so that the thunder doesn't come. But I don't know. If it's going east, I think it's going to come your way.
But if you get zapped, you know how cool of a viral video you'll have? You'll get tons of views.
Oh, absolutely.
Just take it for the team, Debbie.
Yes. Will you pull it off?
Hold the mic. Just hold on.
If I could just put a couple of electronics and some water in my hand, there we go. It's like, no, it's the time of year for us here in Florida, but it's a really supportive community here. And so I always want you to come back in and let us know what you're doing. It looks like you have, well, first of all, Polly said congrats on the movie being screened in Hollywood.
Oh, thank you, Polly.
Yes, I don't know if Polly knew that because I know you guys are BFFs behind the screen, you know. So
my amazing buddy.
and Laura Lively is here, and she said yay for the screening in Anaheim as well. That was big news. I'm sitting here thinking, well, I mean, if your movie's going to be screened, I'm going to have to make it a point to get out to Anaheim now. Yeah.
It's a little bit emotional. I mean, if I could sidetrack it, when I went to shoot The Messengers in California, I was actually following Danny Pena of Gamertag Radio. Shout out to Danny. He's in the Dominican Republic. I think he just got home today from promoting our film in the Dominican Republic. But I was following him, and on one of the few breaks I had, I drove from LA to Cyprus, where I grew up, to the home where I literally would stare out the window and just wish I could be more than a little everyday regular kid, one of 6 brothers and sisters, and could I one day make movies? I live in Cali. Maybe I can make it. Yeah. I went there and I had my friend take a picture of me in front of that house, and I got really emotional, and it wasn't because I'm just a mushy guy. It finally hit me. I'm standing in front of this house as a filmmaker. And the last time I was in this house, I was wishing and dreaming. I didn't even know where I would start because I was just a little Venezuelan kid, and I was one of 6. I felt so mediocre. You know what I mean? He took a picture and he said, now, I know you come here whenever you can, but I want you to, from now on, this is it. You closed the circle. You made it happen. You are a filmmaker. From now on, when you come here, you never look at this house ever again in a sad, emotional way, hanging on to what it was, because that dream has been realized. And the next time you stand here, it's just to look at that window and do a second high five because it's your second movie and your third movie, and you're never coming here ever again to be sad, to be, pensive. You're coming here to celebrate because you actually realize a dream that many people can't. And so if I go back to Anaheim this time and they're screening that movie that I went to shoot last year when I took that picture, you can be certain that I'm going to go there. And this time I'm just going to be Spartan because it's just pride, not, oh, this is where it all started. And, I think people hang on to that too much in life. This is where I started. I don't know if I've made it. No, man, if you're standing there again and you're doing the job that you wished of, you made it. You crossed that off your list. You find a new dream that you're having today, because in a few years, you're going to stand in front of this one and go, and that's how I feel right now. I'm in a joy phase. I got amazing clients. I got a movie coming out, but take all that away. I'm still sitting in front of an edit bay. I've been doing this since I was 17 years old. People told me I would never make money doing it, that I would never make it. I'm sitting in front of a small, humble edit bay, living my dreams and showing my 3-year-old what she can accomplish if she just does what she wants, not what everybody tells her to do.
Neil, I'm going to go on record and say that you are the very first guest I have ever interviewed in 30-something years of broadcasting and journalism who has made me have to fight back tears.
Oh,
that was that. And you should be. No, of course not.
But that's how I feel,
That's an amazing story. And so many people in our space share a story of being down, whether it's just beliefs and however you were brought up and thinking that you can't accomplish something and then bringing it to fruition. I'm a firm believer in the further you fall, the higher you bounce. I truly believe that it takes a lot of times that disparity between where you want to be versus where you are to really give you that drive to rise up.
But that's why when you said everything I do is for others, that is why. because
Yeah.
I want people like Ralph Lugo, who if I told you his story, you'd have more tears. But 12 years with me grinding in dirty hip hop studios, making music for others that didn't appreciate us, grinding for 12 years watching me. And he always felt like, Niel's climbing so fast, will I be lost? And when I got to call him and sign a contract to sign him to do the audio for the Messengers, I damn near cried, because I was like, I promised you. Oh, sorry, 16 years. Sorry, buddy. I promised
so I can
him.
see that you can see the comments.
Yeah, I just saw that pop up. I promised him 16 years ago, when he was a rapper in a group of many, just like I told you how I was in a group of many. I isolated him, managed him as a solo artist, and he just created himself into an amazing audio guy. And when I went to New York, and I know I'm rambling, and I apologize. I want your audience to. I get emotional. That's gonna make me emotional. When I went to New York, and I was at CBS Radio, Ralph couldn't go with Chris and I. We went to New York with Jason Hewitt, and okay, so I'm in New York, pinch. CBS Radio is about to screen my film with Chris, and the audio engineer that's going to audio engineer our film walks up to me at the end of the movie and says, I used to do audio for Aerosmith for 20 years. I'm now in my 50s, and people look at me back here as just some little guy with a mixer. No one knows I've toured the world with Aerosmith. So he says, that's my brother.
Is that your brother? Okay.
So he says to me, he looks at me and he says, listen, brother, that is the best audio I've ever heard on a documentary film in my 20 years as a CBS radio affiliate. And I don't know. And I told him all we had was a wireless mic and that Ralph did the rest. But in that moment, what impacted and made me emotional was that Ralph wasn't there to hear the 20-year Aerosmith audio engineer compliment him. And then I remembered the moment that I went to his little house and signed that promise to him that I'm going to get you somewhere, dude. And that moment, sadly, I heard it, not him, but he's listening right now. And dude, I am so proud of you that I was able to take that compliment on your behalf, and I carry it with me everywhere I go, because now your dream is realized. You can go to that house and go, and now we go to another level. We just did Haiti, and I'll be damned if I'm not hiring him for Beyond the Game. So look at that. He now has a film audio career for believing in me when nobody did, because Ralph did. He can tell you secrets of me on his sofa. Emotional. No one listens to me. No one's listening to my podcast. No one wants me to coach them. I'm not good enough. And dude, I love you. Thank you for tuning in today, because we did it, brother. We're here together on the Debbie Pace Show. What the hell?
That's right. The Debbie Pace Show. That's right.
Long story. I'm sorry.
You
I got emotional,
everyone.
girl. You got me rocking emotional here.
Awesome. Good. Then I've done my job. I remember. Okay. First of all, I'm not in any hurry, because I want to just make sure we get your story out. That's what this is really about.
Yeah,
but I remember.
Holly's never going to respect me anymore.
You're making everybody cry in this stream. I don't know if you can see all the comments, but everybody's over here crying, and Laura's crying, and Ralph's crying.
I'm grateful for this opportunity, though, because I don't get to talk like this,
Well, that's what we do on this show, and I was so excited to have you here for that reason. But I remember, Niel, when we were chatting at the screening of the movie, and I remember saying to you how the different emotions, how I just felt so many different things. And I think that's so important about what we do as professionals in this space, because it's not about what you can, nicely box up and put in your screen and make square and maybe put pretty colors on it. It's
Absolutely.
really about the experience. And so many people, and this is what I coach a lot of, which is these highly successful people who get to a point in life, they're again successful. Maybe it's their fourth venture, fifth venture, whatever, and it's unfulfilling, and it doesn't mean anything to them. And when you talked about being at CBS and Ralph is not there with you, that's the whole fulfillment aspect, which is you did that because of the emotional, and not, of course, who's not in business to make money, of course, and to succeed. But it's that aspect that I think sets entrepreneurs like yourself apart, in that emotional aspect. It has to have that emotional fulfillment, or it does feel a little bit empty.
I'm emotional, and to a flaw. I believe that sometimes I get so emotionally connected to things that people can hurt you. It opens you up to some vulnerability. Let's be real. But what I'm taking to heaven are memories, not cash. So when I do things like Polly Bauer Swipe the Podcast or the Messengers, I'm very careful. I know that every project, and this is for your listeners who are getting ready to take on a bigger what's next, like you asked earlier. I'm now so careful what projects I take, because whatever project I take, I know I'm going to invest this sucker into it. It's going to take months of my life to achieve it. And I want to have that moment at that house at CBS for that person. So now, and I hope this is good advice for your listeners, is be more selective. It's not about just raising your rates and getting a higher caliber client. Look, duh, that's why you're in business. Okay, you're in business to start small, and by the time you leave Earth, yes, you were successful, but you can't take your name, your title, or your business with you. What you can take is CBS radio, standing in front of the house, that moment that a client hugs you and says, before I worked with you, I thought I was nothing. I got a letter from a podcast listener telling me that they were kind of on a suicide mission until they heard my first show about how I started, the one I just told you. And then I became the first guest on their podcast that they launched almost a while later. And I just sat there like, wow. And so guys, what's next shouldn't just be what pays better. And it shouldn't be what gets you more visibility. It should be what's next on your ladder that's going to be another emotional staple that when you're gone, you'll remember. You'll just remember like that impact I made, that change I created, that person that literally now has a new medium to express themselves on because I was able to introduce them to it, not because I led them, not because I created their situation. Polly's Polly, skits is skits. But you can just open that door like you do. I hear you all the time. I watch you every Friday. And sometimes I might type it. Sometimes I don't. And I'm listening because I try to be around other coaches, listen to other coaches that I feel are higher than, equal than, or really higher than me. Because that's how that's what I want to hear in my day. So when I'm hearing you interview, like last week, you're having all these tech problems and I jumped in. Are you going to be able to interview me next week? Being selfish, but I was just that excited to get on here because I look what you're doing. I knew you would take this to a level because not only are you a mindset coach, you're coaching me somewhat without even meaning to. Because
You're
I'm
gonna
so
make me
busy.
cry.
Because I'm busy. I told Polly I'm so busy helping everybody else. She heard me yesterday. I can't get to my podcast, my vlog, or my anything. So technically being on your show right now is a little bit of, you're letting me be me. Like I'm seeing like, wow, you're telling me what I accomplished. And I'm like, wow. So thank you, Deb.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, this is what I think a lot of entrepreneurs forget, though. And this is what I'll say in the space that I'm in. I'm sure the space that you're in. Polly is a hard driver. I'm sure your other friends here, Ralph. I don't know some of the people who came across from your community to hang out with us today, but I'm going to assume that you see this a lot as well. And that when you are that high achiever, you are consistently pushing forward and it is next project, and planning and doing stuff. And probably that little voice that says, well, you could be doing a little bit more, but it's really important to pause in those moments and remind yourself, holy crap, I've actually done this. In fact, I did that recently. I had to go through and find some pictures that were more than just selfies of me. And I came across, well, what's funny is when
there weren't that many of those, were there?
I mean, I had to look really hard for not selfies, right? But there were a bunch that I found that made me feel really, really good. And one that I found is so funny is it was an award ceremony. And I know you can't really see it because the show's not about me. But, well, it was an Associated Press award ceremony. And I had gone through, I had a wall at one point of awards, and I got national awards from the National Federation of Press Women. I remember it just in my broadcasting career, but I was denying it because I was on this online only journey and I didn't pause and I hadn't even used that in my communication with my community of, oh, by the way, I have been in the broadcasting and journalism industry for 30 years. I may have forgotten to mention that to you. But I think when we do pause and allow ourselves to celebrate successes along the way, most of us will find there are pretty big ones that maybe we're not celebrating. It gives you that element of gratitude, and it allows you, I think, to pause for a moment. And how much do you recharge when you do something like that? It gives you energy for your next step, right?
Energy for your next step. And it's also, you're never going to feel like you're enough if you haven't stopped for 2 seconds and said, wow, I got that nice award, or that client gave me that nice gift, or that was a blessing that I got. That's actually, when you take that in, that's when you feel enough. It's not that you are award winning and you're so special and now every job you do has to be at that level, because we are. I mean, let me ask you a question, and then I know we're getting tight on time, but I'm going to ask you an interview question for a second. Okay,
sure, why not?
We're going to flip it for a second. Have you ever had a moment as a coach where you take on a client that you respect so highly and you're seeing their level of accolade, and for a moment, for a brief moment, you question why do they need me? Like, can I coach any further than this person? They're accoladed to a certain, that you yourself are like, am I going to add value? I mean, I'm about to build them for my time. And that was Polly Bauer for me. 45 years in the industry, on the board of Visa, MasterCard, American Express, still talks to the presidents of every company under the sun, asking me, humble Niel from Cypress, California, in a window, hoping he's enough, if I can walk her through a journey that I've only been on for 3 years. For the first week, I was just like, every meeting we had, she's finding this out for the first time. For the first week, every Skype meeting, I was so over preparing because I was just like, I don't know if I'm enough. She's going to see right through me, right? And just the opposite. She's become one of my dearest friends. Her team is amazing. And she like empowered me as a better, brighter coach. She made me go to higher levels. And because she kept breaking my ceiling, she made me have to create the next level up, because there isn't a level up. You beat the game. And I had to go create level 5, 6, and 7 that don't even exist because of Polly. So tomorrow, my next coaching client is screwed, because now instead of 3 floors, they got to climb 7. So my question to you is, have you ever felt that way? Have you ever gone through that?
Well, I put my glasses on to hide my eyes, but they're not the right glasses. And Polly loves them, by the way, so I might just keep them on.
So you're kind of like funkadelic.
I was going to hide my eyes because, I'm going to sit here and say, well, no, of course I've never, ever felt it all ever. Like there was a client that I was nervous about, right? Yeah.
They need to fear us. We're their coach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course you do. And I think it's only natural in any space we are comparison people by nature, I mean, I think that I always tell people, if I've seen someone else do it, I know it's achievable for me. And that has been my standard in life. And I think that there's always, and it's not about, I think I just had that conversation yesterday with someone. And that's what I always said. If any person in the world has ever done it, then I know that I can do it. And I always like to, of course, look at other things that people haven't done, but I look at and that's how I got good grades in college. I looked at people I knew and I thought, well, they can do it. I can do it. Exactly. And it's not about, I mean, of course it has to be about ego at some point, but it's really about knowing if the human potential can achieve it, then I also have that same potential.
Absolutely.
There's no reason I couldn't do it. And so I think that that's important too. But ultimately, it really comes down to having that everything I do is intuitive in my coaching. And it comes down to trusting enough intuitively that you're coming from the right place and you're going to get what you need to, and you already have the skills. Obviously, you're not here because you're brand new and don't have any skills. So you already have the skills and the belief that you can help them. All you have to do is kind of do that. It's sort of like taking that moment to celebrate your own successes too. You have to kind of rest a moment and kind of lean into that internal voice and know that no matter where you need to go, they're going to be taken. Because it's not about you. You're a messenger. You're not the message.
And it's funny. You just said that one, you just coached me again, because I don't lean in and I don't take time. I mean, I have a wall of Batman, not a wall of awards, because at one point I took down my awards and my wife's like, what did you do? And I said, who I am, I'm starting to surround myself with the things that I truly think I am. Like, so in other words, I don't need the golden statue to remind me. I love Batman. I love what he stands for. I feel like I resonate with that character, not with the cartoon, but what he stands for. Yeah. And I'm surrounding myself with that because that's the level of superhero I need to be to my clients as a coach. That's who I want Polly to see. He's protecting her, is that character. It's in front of her. He's guiding me. He's going to get me there. And when I'm done, then I'm going to say, introducing Robin. Right?
That's awesome.
But I feel that that's who I need to be for podcasters when I'm standing as a director of a movie about them. I'm standing there looking undefeatable and black, but inside, I'm just as scared as everybody else.
Yeah.
And so the thing I want to pass on to your listeners is, and maybe some of you guys are new coaches, or maybe you're stepping into coaching or stepping into podcasting, is you're enough. You're enough. You were made perfect, lacking nothing. The only thing is education and finding friends like Debbie you can lean on and call, and Polly's of the world. Ralph, who I literally drive to Orlando to sit in his sofa. He's got the most amazing recording studio. And when I get there, he's like, let's make a beat. Let's make a beat. Oh my God, let's go back when we were 16, 19, 18, wherever year we met. And let's do music like we always do. And you know what I do, Debbie? I fall asleep. It's the only house I ever crash when he's talking. And that's what I try to be for my people, that they work with me and they feel they could just kind of like, oh my God. Because Niel has my back as a coach. When I'm resting, Niel's looking for my next trend, something unique to me, not just he coached it to everybody else. I know you've gone through that where what can I find for this client that'll give them a razor's edge? And you're not asking the client to go find it. You're going to manifest it for them because you're the coach. Right. And so that's when you asked me earlier. Now I'm kind of coming around. Sometimes your questions, I have a very delayed reaction because I talk too much. Now your question of what is the part that means the most to me, it's that. Yeah. It's when I find that thing special to Swipe the podcast, special to the Messengers documentary, or whoever else I'm working with, that gives them an edge that I was able to manifest as their trusted coach that they are putting their heart and soul into. That's the part that I could sit out and smoke a cigar to, even though I don't smoke, but that I could have a beer and celebrate the win. That's what makes me feel special. When I see them find that unique edge and they still have it a year after they're done with me, that's when I'm like, awesome. Now I can move to the next project. I can go on.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And I think as leaders, that's what we do is we take energy from each other. I'm not here saying, okay, let me coach you. Coaching is intuitive. Yeah. And what we do is, and that's what I always say is, leaders boosting leaders. And my whole philosophy is because I think it's never ending. We're constantly growing and pushing boundaries and doing things. And so I always say, if one person has my hand, I still have another to pull someone else up with me. And that's the philosophy that I live by. And it looks like it's the philosophy that you live by too. And I don't even know if that had anything to do with what you just said, but it is exactly what I needed to say at that moment.
My mom used to say, mijo, because she doesn't call me son. It's mijo. You give away too much. You teach too much. People will steal your ideas. And I've told her no her whole life. No, mommy, I don't care. Let them. It makes me better. Let them take what I got because it makes me have to be that much better so that when they catch up to me again, I'm another mile ahead. Now, there's some truth to what she says. Let's just be real. Mom's never wrong. Right. But what you just said about holding one end and then reaching down. Sometimes I'm holding with two hands and I'm like, grab my legs. Because
way to one up me over Cheever.
I had to. It was like, oh, you think you're bad? Okay, so grab my legs because we're climbing this together. Even if you're just taking my shoe with you, and it's really a sense of pride that I take. I'm actually kind of like happy that even though I do video for, I don't know how long, 1991, however long that is.
A couple years.
I never talk about it anymore on anything I'm on any show I'm on. It's all about podcasting, coaching, and helping people. I never talk about Wildstyle Media and how it can deliver high quality media to your firm.
Did we even mention the name yet? Is that the first time on this show that we've mentioned the name?
Wildstyle Media. But what's great is that I believe that when you put yourself out there, like we do, both of us, because you have other things you do as well, they find that. They find you in this category, and by the time you're done, they know about your business. You never had to sell it. That's the power of being a trailblazing leader is you're leading. They're meeting you at that forefront that you're leading this charge. And believe it or not, while you're in battle, as the battle gets easier because you're a good leader and you're beating the hell out of the other guy, when they have a moment, your soldiers, to kind of sit and recoup and rest and heal a wound, whatever they're doing back there playing cards, they start to look up. Yo, that guy that was just wielding a sword for me, that Gandalf at the front with the glowing stick, yo, he's got a company. Oh, let me see what that's about. Oh, he's got a podcast. So my numbers have grown steadily but slowly because I don't promote them. I just meet you in the battlefield, and I hope that before we all leave here, alive or dead, that you take a minute and find what else I did. And that's why Polly Bauer will eclipse my numbers before she launches, because I've been doing it so slow for 3 years. I don't have a banner that says all things post, go listen. I never do it. If you don't mention it, I won't.
So do you want us
thing.
to drop? Is that the link you want us to drop in here? Is your podcast? What do you want? I want to leave everyone with at least one action to take. What link should we put in?
I say check out All Things Post, because that's where you get to hear and know me. And allthingspost.net is the website where my podcast resides. From there, you'll hear on my show that I own Wildstyle Media, and you can go to wildstylemedia.net. But I really think meet me at the podcast. It's where I am, who I am. Reach out to me on Twitter, because that's where I sort of am. And then you'll find the business, because you know what? Not everybody can afford high-end video. But everybody can afford some coaching, and everybody can afford to listen to a free podcast. So, yeah.
So it's allthingspost.net?
That's my show.
I typed that in and it came up odd. Let me double check.
Maybe I didn't pay my bill. Polly, I need that check, honey.
Oh my God, you're cracking me up.
My website's down when I'm live with the Debbie Pace, Polly.
No, it's there. Okay. All right. I'm going to grab the link directly just to make sure I have it, because I like to drop it in for you.
And I'd love for people to start hearing that, because it really shows it's not for techies. It's just for people that like the behind the scenes of the making of cool things.
Well, this is awesome. Niel, I am so completely honored to have had you on here today, to have had another opportunity. We've met for, just for collaboration meetings and stuff. And it's always such an amazing adventure when you and I hang out. So I'm grateful.
We cry.
I know, we cry.
Never coming on here again.
And thank you everyone for hanging out with us. If you're watching the replay, if you're going to watch the replay, feel free to also drop questions in for Niel. Sure. Tell him how amazing he is, and also click the link and make sure that you subscribe to his podcast as well, because the numbers are important and we want to make sure that everyone who needs to hear Niel's message can hear it. Any parting words for our community today?
I just want to thank you for having me on. I think that what you're doing every Friday is so cool. It gives people a platform to be heard. So I'm just honored to be here. Number two, I just think that I want to leave people with one thought, which is, there is no guarantee. I just experienced this with my father-in-law. There's no guarantee you're going to be here tomorrow. So stop being selfish. Stop trying to just make that money. Stop trying to build a brand, and just go out and help people, make an impact. Do what you do really, really well. Say please and thank you, and you will get everything you deserve. And I think people just need let's go back to some basics. Let's pull out a chair. Let's open a door. Let's say hello, and let's shake hands. Let's stop tweeting while we say hello to people. It's those simple things that I always try to leave with people, because I believe when you go back to basics, we'll get the success that all the greats before us got. But as long as we keep trying to be digital babies, and we keep trying to only innovate, and we're not ever just looking back and seeing what was done right, we're gonna get a success, but it's not gonna be the one that we admire, because we always look at what someone else did, right? Oh, Rockefeller, oh, Apple, oh, Steve Jobs. What did they do? But they didn't do things how we're doing them. I really believe we're doing a lot of things wrong. So just go back to basics, shake hands, and you'll achieve what you want to achieve. And God bless all you guys. Thanks for watching me today.
Awesome, Niel. All right, thanks everybody. Bye. If you have any questions, drop them in. We'll be chatting soon. Take care.
Hashtag boom.
Hashtag boom. Leaders boosting leaders, right? I like that one too.
Bye.